Hi, everyone. This is Lori McIntosh with Rustic Ranches Real Estate and broker by EXP. I live in Auburn and I'm with another local, Heather, with Heather's Houses. It's Heather's with apostrophe S. Yes, Heather's Houses.
You got that.
And I met her through PCAR, which is Placer County Association of Realtors. And I've been to classes of hers and I've learned so much about the importance of staging a home when you are ready to list it as a seller. And it's also great for buyers to see how a home looks and gives them that vision of how they could modify it to their way by kind of depersonalizing it, but making it still look beautiful. And I'd love to start off, Heather. First of all, thank you so much for doing this interview. I know you're super busy, especially now that it's April, springtime. And I've been to your warehouse before because you had a huge open house and it was super impressive. So we're going to take a little tour.
Yay!
And I would love to just find out about you first before we get into your business. Tell me what it is about Auburn that you love so much and living here. I know you're in Meta Vista, which is
True.
just right up the hill a little bit on the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful. My commute to work is roughly 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yes. So
Not bad.
2 exits and I think 1, 2, 3 stoplights. Yeah.
And not a high traffic area.
Very, very lucky to be settled here with my business in Auburn. Been in Placer County now for 8 years, and it sure has been a transition, but it definitely feels like home. And it's such a welcoming community, as you know, especially the PCAR Auburn community. Lots of fun there. I came up wanting to get out of the busy East Bay where I was born and raised. I love it there as well. Lots of open space and natural beauty. I used to live very close to Mount Diablo, but we wanted a slower pace, which we certainly got going to Meadow Vista. And it's a small town vibe, which I really, really love. Friendly people and not very much traffic. So that's the main reason we moved to Placer County, was looking for some land and kind of having that very common, I want to say cliche, Bay Area dream of having a little property and moving to the country. So I fit right in with that typical stereotypical demographic of Bay Area buyers about 8 years ago when I moved. And I'm so happy we did, and I think we'll be here as long as possible.
Yeah, ditto for us. I've been here 7 years.
Okay,
From
right
Morgan
after me.
Hill
Yeah,
and South Bay.
even further.
And yeah, and we were having that rural lifestyle, but like you said, the traffic was rough, and we have horses, so it needed a little bit more space. Even though we were already on 5 acres, it wasn't all usable. It's pretty
Sure.
hilly over there. And I've done a 50-mile ride and lots of trail rides at Mount Diablo. It's like Disneyland over there. Is so beautiful,
It's a great
immaculate
trail system. Yes,
It's
lots
really
of
pretty.
open space. It looks a lot like Loomis, Newcastle, because the rolling green hills, especially this time of year, and the oak trees. Moving to Meadow Vista, I think, was perfect for my family because I love the oak trees and the rolling hills, and my husband loves the pines. So we're at elevation 1800, so we're right below the snow line, so we don't really get snow, but we do have pine trees. So we've got pine trees and oak trees and a bit of space and that country feel, which
That's
we
a
love.
perfect mix. I'm at 1,500 feet.
Oh, you're okay. Yeah, we're very close.
We're missing the pine trees. It's okay.
Yeah. Yes, but then less fire risk. So that's a good thing.
That's true. Just a little bit. And so when you lived in the East Bay, what did you do before you have this career?
So I did start Heather's Houses in Walnut Creek. I was living in Lafayette, and I worked for a real estate broker there. She had her own in-house staging company. She's still in business and kicking butt in the East Bay. She's just a fabulous broker and an amazing woman. Definitely mentored me and made a huge impact on my life. Her name's Terry Lynn Fisher. She's with Dudum Real Estate. She's fantastic. But prior to that, I actually had another business doing show clothes, which were for the equine industry. So
what?
Yeah, I did a very rhinestone cowgirl, if you can imagine. No. I did the Grand National Rodeo Queen's clothing. I went to college for fashion design and majored in fashion design. About midway through, I wanted to change my major to interior design, which I did not do. But I did minor in interior design. So I took lots and lots of interior design classes, and I really admired the architects. I mean, if I was better at math, I would have loved to have been an architect. Looking at their models in college was just fascinating. I absolutely love seeing the three-dimensional models. Um, really admired those. But I was busy making patterns and doing a fashion line, which was based on the inspiration of Western leatherware. So my entire collection was done out of lambskin and actually boucle fabric, which is a chunky, loose knit fabric that Chanel suits are known for. So it was
Oh
a
yeah.
real contrast of the smooth lambskin leather, like the jacket that you're wearing, and then this really chunky textured boucle fabric. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but I honestly hate sewing and probably will never sew again.
Oh
It
no.
really burnt me out on
Sorry.
the whole sewing thing. But I do admire seamstress, although I was never a very talented seamstress. That is where I started. So I guess I was always kind of an entrepreneur
Hmm.
without really realizing it. I just identified as an artist, and I always wanted to create and make things. And so that's what started my first business. I did that for about 7 years, and we closed that. It was called Heather's Hot Couture around 2008, right after kind of the real estate crash, right around that time
Yeah.
when the whole economy was
We
upside
lost our
down.
house then. That was fun. Living in
Yeah,
San Jose.
it was I think a traumatic
Short
time
sale.
for a lot of people.
Hmm.
And at that point, we did shut our doors. But I knew I needed to do something creative. And I'm also from a real estate family. So my mom is a realtor. My grandfather was a broker on both sides. Always was driving around in cars looking at houses, going to model homes. The East Bay, where I grew up, was being developed heavily in the 1990s and late 80s, growing outward towards the further East Bay, Brentwood, Discovery Bay area. So we spent a lot of time looking at homes out there and running around, sitting in the back seat, going out to properties. My grandparents managed quite a few properties. So
Wow.
I always had kind of an inside perspective on real estate from the family businesses.
So it's in your blood.
Yeah, it's just something that I've always been around and that I do love and have always had an interest in. So after doing the fashion business, doing the costuming, I wanted to do something else. And I was going back, considering doing interior design, going back to school for entrepreneurship, business incubator kind of planning classes. And it led me to staging ultimately. Yeah.
That's full circle. And do you still have your real estate license?
I never got it.
Oh, you didn't. So you
No,
were an assistant
never got
for the
it.
broker.
No, I just, my mom was doing it, my grandparents were doing it. I was always around it.
Hmm.
But no, I was never employed in that capacity ever. Never worked as like any office position in a real estate office at all. Was always just interested in the design side of it and the service side because I do love working with people.
Yeah.
So being of service, wanting to help problem solve. I love challenges and I love the newness of it every day. Um, as we all know, it's always crazy. It's always something new, and that
Yeah.
keeps it fun.
It does. And then, it's, with what you do, it's kind of an emotional business. And as a realtor, I have to take that out. And that's hard too, because I'm kind of an artist as well, a former photographer and a
A
writer, and
writer.
still a writer. But it can get hard sometimes. It's just, but once I get that opportunity to negotiate and strategize, that's a whole nother game. Love
Mhm.
it. And I think for you, when you get that opportunity to go look at a house, you're like, boom, focused and ready
Sure.
to, and you have to do it so tactfully because it's like someone's personal space.
Absolutely. I've been
Yeah.
telling clients lately, doing consultations with Occupied, and that's definitely where it can be emotional. And I've done so many. Always a good one if no one cries, right? But it's okay if they do, and I understand that your home is generally it's a part of your family. Really, your home is a family member to most people. There's so many memories, so many attachments that go along with the place of being where you've lived, resided, raised your family. There are just a lot of attachments there. And so when it is time to sell, going through that process, helping a seller go through that process of detaching, staging is a big part of that. And I see that it really does help when people give themselves grace and time to go through that process and to prepare and hopefully to be excited about the transition that they're making in the best case scenarios. But we know that people move for all sorts of reasons. So
Right.
we're there to try to help them and guide them and make the process as smooth as possible and ultimately, as fast as possible. Let's help expedite the process is
Right.
really the perspective that I'm coming in with when I'm consulting with a seller.
Yeah, that's really good for people to know that too. And so you've been here since 2016, right?
Yes.
And you've already had your family, you're already married,
Yes.
and
I'm a dog mom.
you're
No children.
same here, dog and horses, and ducks and chickens. And
I have one pup. One pup. I often say my business is my baby because it really, really keeps me busy. And I will say, being an employer and a manager of people is as close as I want to get to motherhood. I'm
yeah,
like, now I know what parents go through. The
yeah.
good, the bad, the ugly, all of the above, right?
Right, and all our animals have their own unique personalities that they want you to know about.
Yes, our favorite clients are the fun, fuzzy ones.
Yeah, for sure.
We get to see so many cute pets, especially being here in a rural environment.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
it's a great day when we get to pet a horse.
really cool. That's nice. I love that.
Yes.
So, how many employees do you have?
Our team we have 7,
Oh
although not
wow.
everyone is an employee. We have a mix of employees and contractors that work here. But yeah, it does take a team. I believe that staging is absolutely a team sport, although most people do start out independently. We are physical movers of furniture and property. So for that reason, it does take a team and muscle power. And I don't recommend doing it alone for very long, but it's a way to get started for certain.
Yeah, because you can't lift all that stuff yourself and
No, no,
drive
no,
it.
no, absolutely not. So many people have stories about, grabbing their dining chairs and taking them down to their neighbor's house. And that's often the way that things get started when you realize, oh, I have a knack for this and I can help people. But no, we use forklift. So our team's forklift certified to load our trucks. And that's a big help. We have racking in the warehouse, which I'll show you later. So things are above ground level. So we need to use a forklift in order to move our furnishings, as well as it's just a physically demanding job. We cover
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ground in and out of homes, loading and unloading. But if you're an active person and you're energetic, it makes the time fly.
And no injuries.
Yes, no injuries, right?
So do you
Safety first.
so personally, do you do a lot of sports, or do you think, oh my god, I got this physical job, I really shouldn't go skiing when there's a total whiteout at Sugar Bowl, but I know there's tons of powder. Do you ever have that conflict?
A little bit, knock on wood. I actually am blessed. I've really been lucky. I've never had a serious injury. I have
Yeah.
only broken one finger once in high school.
Oh,
That's
oh,
it.
wow.
So, yeah, I've really been lucky. I didn't play team sports, although I did grow up riding horses and skiing and snowboarding. So, we still ski. I am now middle aged because I love cross country. And
Me too.
there's less risk of getting hurt, right? We're
No,
not
more
going downhill.
ego. When you fall over, it's really hard to get back up with those long skis.
Plus, you can bring snacks.
Yes.
It's fun.
I'm so glad
With
you
the
said that
warming
because I've
huts.
been wanting to do that switch from downhill to cross country.
Well, and you can do both, right? Just depends on your mood that day. But if you're feeling a little risk adverse, definitely we have begun cross country. I think the year after we moved up here, in Royal Gorge, I highly recommend it over right outside of Sugar Bowl. It's like the largest park, I want to say, and they tout it's the Greater North American largest
Is it?
cross country
I've
park.
been there before.
Yeah, it's huge.
And
And you can take your
snowshoed.
dogs. So what's better than that? You can take your dogs, you can take your snacks, you can relax, be outside in nature. It's so beautiful and peaceful, and it's only a 45-minute drive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how long does it take you from Meta Vista? Not very long.
No, it's just
That's
right up the highway. So
Yeah.
that's what you'll find me doing on a day off. Yeah,
Okay.
cross country with my dog, ideally.
How about the summertime?
Summertime, I do love summer. I love warm weather. I'm a warm weather person, and I love to garden. So we have a couple acres, and I really have begun getting into my rose garden as the roses are maturing. It's been really fun to see. And of course, we're on the verge of spring weather, so we've got lots of buds, and I'm really excited to see what
Me
this year
too.
looks like.
Yeah, so don't get a donkey if you do not have your roses fenced because your donkey will come by and eat them within seconds. Says all my roses out front are now gone.
Oh my
Donkey
gosh.
Odie ate them all.
Oh my goodness. Yes, fencing is critical, and fencing's a big
It's like a
investment.
deer.
We learned that. Yes, I wanted the open, long view, no fencing. I love that look. Beautiful aesthetically, but not practical if you do want to keep a garden. We end up fencing our entire property. So I can still see out. Luckily, it's like an iron fence, so I still get those long views. But yeah, the deer are a real problem. The deer were coming onto my porch, eating our jack-o'-lanterns and succulents off of pots on my front porch. I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Move to the country, you learn a lot.
Yeah, and
Things
you
you
have to
don't
have
expect.
7-foot fencing. I know a farmer in Grass Valley who grew pumpkins, and her husband put up 6.5-foot fencing,
Okay.
and this deer hopped over
I
it
love
and took a
pumpkins.
bite out of every pumpkin, one bite, every single pumpkin that they planted. So
I believe it.
her
I
whole supply was ruined.
I believe it.
Terrible.
And who would have thought like deer,
I
pumpkins, stuff
know.
these I mean, you don't think of it, but they do. And I found out the hard way as well.
I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So beware of the deer.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, we went off on a little tangent there, but I kind of like to mix personal and professional too, because it really helps people get to know you as a person and why you do what you do,
Sure.
and that you're able to manage 7 people and just own a dog.
All I can handle is the dog. I'm telling you, I feel like a guilty dog mom most days.
Yeah.
But with the help of my husband and a great dog sitter and a friendly pet friend next door, we do play dates with the dogs. So that helps. We have a good neighbor fence, and we open the gate and we let the dogs go back and forth and
Oh,
play.
nice.
And that really, really helps get a lot of energy out. So when you get home late, you're
You
not
don't
feeling
feel
quite as
guilty.
bad. But
Yeah.
our lab loves to swim, so we do a lot of frisbee, chuck it. You'll often find me at the field after work. There's a number of fields, soccer fields, and other fields around the general Meadow Vista area
Hmm.
where they're in the evening. They're basically dog
I
parks,
played pickleball over
unofficial
there.
dog parks
Yeah.
for all the neighborhood people.
I actually drive all the way over there to go play pickleball.
At the Meadow Vista Park.
Yeah, and if I
Okay.
had my quad and no one had fences and I could fly over an ID, then that's the Nevada Irrigation District
Yeah,
Canal,
yeah.
I'd be in your neighborhood within 5 minutes. But I have to drive all the way around down Bell to 80, and then
You're circling around.
there's pickleball. And apparently, they like beginners. They're more beginner tolerant than the Auburn people.
The Auburn
But that
people
could
are
be
hardcore.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Okay,
I have a few.
so I wasn't sure if that was true or not.
I have a few friends that play in Auburn, and they're serious. They're real serious. It's intimidating. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm after my knee surgery from skiing, I'm like, I don't know if I could handle those people.
Oh, and so cross country is going to be for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So I'm
you
glad
can
you brought
try
it
this
up.
spring because we're gonna have so much spring snow.
Maybe you could take
Got
me
another
with
month
you.
or two. I feel like that we can still get out there.
Yeah. No, not like last year where they had the slopes open until July 4th at Palisades. So
Wow.
that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I'm looking forward to the warmer days and my roses blooming.
yeah, and a couple of days off here and there. So when you're talking about distance, how far are you willing to go with your company? What's
So
your area?
areas that we cover, Placer County is our home base. We love working all around Auburn and locally. We do work in Nevada County. We also cover Sacramento County and El Dorado County. Rarely do we go outside of that. We
That's
have
exactly
in the
what
past.
I do.
But
Love to go to
yeah,
those
yeah,
places.
we find ourselves driving around Folsom Lake quite often and working in Granite Bay and El Dorado Hills and Folsom. I love that drive, just that continuous road, Auburn
35 miles an
Folsom.
hour.
So
Yeah.
pretty, driving down the back roads. It's very relaxing. But yes, we do cover some ground. We have 5 trucks, And with the trained team, that enables us to kind of be where we need to be for our clients.
Hmm.
And, you know, wherever duty calls, we try to
Yeah.
be there.
So when you drive down Auburn Folsom Road towards Granite Bay and Folsom, do you ever stop at Cask Winery? Because
I do.
I just
How'd you
I
know?
know because when you had your open house, you were serving it, and Nigel, my husband, came too, and he was super excited. So we
Oh,
love that
good.
winery,
Yes.
and you also had the huge like 2 tables of charcuterie, which I might have to ask your opinion. Do you think that is going to be forever trend or just a time in passing because most people just love them and are addicted to
Yeah, I think I'm pretty addicted to cheese. So
them?
I don't know if cheese will ever go out of style.
No.
I'm not sure, but I will agree with you that it is a trend. I recently saw a friend of mine, another woman owned business, and she's always got some creative business going. She was making the boards themselves. So I had her do some engraved boards for clients.
Nice.
So she had like the wood cutter and the engraving machine and a shop on her property. So she was doing that. And now she's got like a mobile charcuterie little catering business where they come and they bring out a mobile setup. Almost think of like all the yogurt toppings in those little bins, kind of like that. So she'll have nuts and she'll have berries and different cheeses. And she has these mini little boards and she creates it all on site per person. I was like, this is wow. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it.
That
So
is thinking outside the box.
yeah,
That'd be
so
great to do an open
mobile
house.
charcuterie boards are now a thing in
Wow.
Placer County.
That's really
Yeah,
good to
so
know.
I think it's here to stay. I mean, I'm a fan, especially wine, cheese, fruit, nuts, all delicious things, honey. What's not to love? And we have so many good little farmers market, farm stands, people doing honey, little mini orchards,
It's a little
lots
fresh.
lots of local product around here
Yeah,
to enjoy.
we're a
We're
little
blessed.
spoiled.
Yes. Yes. Just stop
Yeah.
off at any of those roadside stands. I'm a
Yeah.
fan for sure.
I like it. And I have to say that at this party again, I just keep going back to that. It was such
I'm
a
glad it made an
you're,
imprint on you.
you definitely impressed
Good.
me. But I got to meet your parents, and they
Oh,
were
yeah.
visiting, and they just had these huge smiles on their faces walking around, and it was just obvious they were very proud of you,
Well, they've
and they're
helped
just
so
so
much.
sweet.
They're fantastic. Like I said, my mom was a realtor. I was away in college and she started talking to me about staging. She would
Hmm.
send me her flyers for her listings because I would be like, what's going on with you? She was busy doing open houses. I was busy being a person in college, like thinking, wow, okay. And she was like, oh, this staging's just amazing, Heather. You should see what this woman's doing to these houses. I got to send you my photos. And I was so proud of her and I thought it was so cool. But that was really when I had first heard of staging was when I was studying in, design in college. I was living in San Francisco. I was working in restaurants, doing my own thing, living my life, having a lot of fun, being a 22-year-old in the city. But
Nice.
I would come home, of course, probably every month, maybe every other month, depending. And she would have all these great stories about her real estate business and what's happening with the staging. And just she's so excited about it. So it definitely piqued my interest back then. Um, and even when I was a little kid, taking me to all those model homes, I mean, I would not care about going seeing the newest release movie. All I want to do is go to model homes.
Oh my
That's all I
god.
wanted to do when I was a 12-year-old girl.
That's
Take me to the
awesome.
new community. I want to go see the KB homes. I want to go see the Meritage homes. Like, that's what
That's
I wanted to
funny.
see. And she would take me, and I loved it. And that was our entertainment together.
Wow.
So,
It's definitely in your blood, like I
yeah,
said.
yeah,
Since you
yeah.
were 12. That's awesome.
Totally. So my parents actually, they're a big part of, I think, why we came to Placer County as well. We weren't actually seriously looking when we stumbled upon our home, but they were seriously looking and had been for a couple years. And they were struggling to find anything that they found appealing. And I think that's the case for many people who, at a certain stage in their life, they've already remodeled a couple houses. They have that under their belt and they're ready for a turnkey property that they can live out their dreams in. And that's really what they were looking for. Ultimately, they did find it in Grass Valley. And so they are in Grass Valley and they moved up about a year before I did. And then we settled here in Placer. But yes, my parents are a huge part of my support system and have been so encouraging. I could not have done everything that I've accomplished without all of their support all along the way, with all the businesses, all the craziness, all the late nights. And they've always been there. So
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. And
Yeah.
I
Do you have
know that.
brothers and sisters?
I do have a sister, and my sister's a nurse, and
Okay.
so we have complete opposite talents.
Yeah, medical field and
Yeah,
houses.
and I'm squeamish. I can hardly handle blood. I mean,
She likes to give shots and
oh,
stab people.
we ran over a squirrel camping when we were kids on our
Uh,
bikes, and my sister wanted to go back and like
do
do a full
CPR.
autopsy.
Uh,
I was ready to vomit and like cry because I felt so bad for the squirrel. Yet my sister is going back for more. Like, oh, let's see what happened to it. You know, that's my sister. I mean, we're just opposites that way. I've drug her along with me to work a time or two, and it won't happen again. She thinks my career path is crazy. She says, "You move furniture every day, and this is your choice. You choose
some people are like,
this."
I'm moving furniture once and I'm done.
Like, but you also deal with blood and guts every day, and you think that's fun. So it
Right.
makes the world go round, and I love hearing her stories from the hospital.
Yeah, because you're like, thank God I do this.
Yeah, yeah. I think I had a hard day. Wow, your day was pretty stressful.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
but one thing that you do have to do that's really hard is you have to educate people because they may not know that they would benefit from a stager. And what
sure.
steps do you take to educate them? Because I get emails from you and I know what I can say, which I really appreciate, by the way. But
I'm so
what's
glad you're reading
I
them.
am. Tell me how you convince a seller to work with you.
Sure. Well, usually, when I come in to a seller's home, I'm assessing it and I tell them that I'm looking at their home through a buyer's eyes. Something to think about when you're selling your home is the process of detaching, giving yourself some time to do that, depending on how attached you are, because some sellers aren't very emotional and may not be that attached, but really understanding what's motivating the move and motivating the seller's or client's desire to sell the house and what their goals are. And once I get a sense of that and I understand that, then I'm able to make recommendations for them. Um, you know, you want to feel welcomed in someone's home, but you don't want to feel like a guest when you're a buyer. And I try to explain that to sellers that when you go to someone's home, say for a dinner party or your neighbor's house, you're invited over, you feel like a guest. And you should, because you're in their home and you're surrounded by their things. And that tells the story of their life and who they are, their preferences, their tastes. You learn a lot about a person when you spend some time in their home with them. And that's the way a home should feel. But when you're selling a home, you want it to feel more like a really serene luxury hotel. You want it to feel like a space that you are automatically comfortable being in, but you're not thinking about whose space it is. So when you go into a hotel, it's designed with that in mind. It's designed with a neutral feel, but you want to go stay in a hotel or go to a resort that's going to feel nicer than the home that you currently live in. So, part of that is creating an environment that's aspirational. It's something that someone's going to aspire to want to be in. That's usually a little bit nicer than their current living environment, or unique in some way that they're attracted to,
Mm-hmm.
but not in a personal way. So that's the magic of staging. We're really creating an environment where anyone's going to feel comfortable, but it also is attractive to the masses without being personal in nature. Because when you feel like a guest, you feel like you need to ask permission to, say, take a look in the pantry or walk down the hall or go check out the primary suite. You're not going to go to your neighbor's house and give yourself a self guided tour. You're
No.
going to wait to be invited in. And when you're selling a home, you want them to come in, doors wide open, lights on, bright and airy, and feel like they can make themselves at home. Ideally, have some furniture to sit on and a place to relax in and get a sense of what the feel of the property is. And so with staging, we created a marketable environment that really is a product that's enhancing the feel of the home and its best features, whatever those may be, and they're going to be unique to the setting.
Yeah, so you just made me realize that my artwork would never work in a hotel because I always thought it would be so cool to sell all my abstract horse images to every single Marriott hotel that's near horse properties or something. And
Sure.
it's like, no, they're too
Specific.
they're kind of emotional, arty, abstract, and I'm like, it won't work. But I
Yeah.
just realized that, so thank you
Well,
for
stage
letting me know.
safe art is a thing. And
Yeah, no,
a lot of
I do.
homeowners need help specifically because of art. Because most of us have family pictures all over our
Gotta
walls.
take those
And
down.
once you take those down, what's left? So usually that opens up just massive bare walls, which aren't great either. So we need stage safe art, and that's where a professional stager can really help you bring in things that are going to be appropriate, landscapes, abstracts, but depends on the abstract, right? Nothing too emotional, nothing too eye catching, things that are going to be more serene and feel.
Yeah, mine are all eye catching. I like to pretend that I believe that,
Sounds like a
but
gallery. Sounds fun. I mean, definitely sounds
yeah,
fun to come into the space as a guest and enjoy,
yeah,
but definitely not going to appeal to everyone.
no, and well, you
And that's
just.
okay.
I was thinking about some of your places that I've been in
Oh,
because I'm more right now of a buyer's agent, so I go into a lot of houses,
good. You
and
get to see the
I
buyer's response
yes, I do,
firsthand.
and I can tell that's Heather's. Heather's, I know your style and
Ah.
pick up on it. But there's some places I've been, and I think they're yours too, where there's a bed and people kind of almost sit on it, and they really shouldn't because it's not real. I had to catch them and be because I'm like, go ahead, and some people want
Sure.
me with them, and some want to
Space.
their
Sure. To
own
explore.
gut feeling about it without another person's energy around. So I have to come and try to look first so I can warn them. Don't sit on the bed.
Sure.
So
Sure.
tell me what kind of beds you guys use and why you do that. Just and it's
Great,
more just to be
great
fun.
question. Yeah, yeah. No, these are great questions. So it is true. Staging is about display and creating this environment. But there are a lot of shortcuts that we take in staging in order to decrease cost of labor or our cost of service. So one thing that most companies like to do is use a lot of box springs. So we're a big fan of box springs because box springs, if you've ever moved a bed, they're much, much lighter and they actually have a physical frame. Whereas if you've ever moved a mattress, you probably remember what a nightmare it was. And mattresses, especially the newer foam mattresses, you really don't want to be moving those a
Or a
lot.
sleep number bed.
Oh, goodness. Not a good staging item, not a staging friendly item. But they're so heavy and cumbersome, so hard to load and unload, and they really just don't hold their form. So we, for that reason, like to use primarily box springs. In the Bay Area is more common to use airbeds, mostly because um, space is so expensive. And so if you think about storing mattresses and box springs, they take up an immense amount of space, not only in a warehouse or storage facility, but also on a truck, which can get quite expensive. The price of staging is reflective of the amount of inventory and labor. So if we're able to reduce that for clients by, say, taking a few shortcuts or offering them, hey, we could bring in air beds, we can make them look just as nice as a typical bed. No one will know the difference. In fact, they'll try to sit on it. So we need to put out a display bed sign and warn them
Yeah.
not to sit on the bed because it is going to be made up of inflatable mattresses. And usually they are positioned on some type of base. Lots of different, you can watch some really funny videos on YouTube of how to make an inflatable fake bed or faux bed. But yeah, Rubbermaid tubs are often used for a bed base with inflatable mattresses. As long as you have great bedding and a nice headboard, no one's going to know the difference.
That's
So
awesome.
if you ever find yourself in a pinch, there are definitely some shortcuts, and that does enable us to reduce a price point, and that can be really helpful in some cases. But I do think for safety purposes, and like you said, when you're showing a property, beware before you sit on the bed. And hopefully there's a display bed sign, but they do get removed. Oftentimes they
Yeah.
don't get put back.
Sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, they get removed for photos, which is the right thing to do, but then they need to be put back for showings.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and there's no real way that we can ensure that that happens. So,
Right.
yeah, warn your clients, careful with the bed. But do
Well,
sit on the couch and
yes.
do sit at the island or at the table or, out
Sometimes
on
you
the
need to do that.
patio, take in the view, right? We want our buyers to have time and take the time that they need to really get a feel for a home.
Right.
I think that that's a big benefit of staging. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of benefits of staging, can you give me some stats of? One thing that really stuck out at PCAR in Rockland when you were speaking with kind of on a panel
Okay.
about the benefits of stagers of how exciting it is as a realtor to get a listing and you don't stage it and you got it priced right and nobody really comes and 2 weeks have gone by and you haven't had any offers and you're like, oh no, I got to lower the price. And
That's
what
gotta be.
happens a lot is the client may fire you,
Oh
hire a
no.
new agent who convinces them to get a stager and invest the money, and then they sell the house right away.
Yeah,
So that really stuck out with me.
I don't envy being in that position. I think being an agent or broker, a realtor, these are really tough jobs, and and it can be really hard to convince a seller that this is in their best interest. But when you think about marketing anything, the bottom line is looks matter, presentation matters. If you're going to a job interview, you're going to make sure that you're put together. And it's the same thing when you're selling what's likely your largest asset. Why wouldn't you take the time and make the investment in presenting your largest asset looking its absolute best? Because it's springtime now, and this is usually when the most homes come on the market. And we don't know what our competition is going to look like. We only know what we can control. So if our carpet's looking a little dingy and our paint needs touching up, and the sofa is dating the house because maybe we inherited it, it's a family piece, we had it at the last house and we've been here 15 years, probably time to consider a refresh for purposes of getting top dollar for that property. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep that sofa or those antiques or all those pieces that you love. You absolutely should, but it's time that we probably get those into storage or get them one step closer to wherever you're moving, and make some space for a stager to come in and really enhance the best features of your home. Um, if you don't, like you said, the neighbor's house could come on looking better than your house, and then they have a different result than you have, and then you have an unhappy seller. So I think my suggestions always, our clients are the boss, of course, but if we can guide them and give them all the options and educate them that this is something that's going to make a measurable difference for them. We're seeing our homes currently in Placer County, um, from list to pending in 11 days or less. So that's our first quarter numbers here for 2024. I believe, and I have not looked this week, so I need to update and refresh. And I know many of your viewers will know these numbers, and probably do keep tabs on them. But it's usually closer to 30 plus days, to pending. So if we can get that number down to 11 days, why wouldn't we want to do that? We would, because no one likes sitting on the market. And that's just, one benefit of staging is reducing days on market, attracting a wider audience. And our goal is really to attract a frenzy. If it's priced right and presented well, we want to get you multiple offers. That's always the goal. So that's when presentation matters. We're not experts on pricing. That's absolutely where you, Lori, are going to be the one to tell your seller, where you think their property needs to be priced. But if they want to be at the top end for their marketplace, whatever area they're in, whatever neighborhood, zip code they're in, if they want to be at the high end of the spectrum, then they're going to need to really consider their presentation seriously. And staging's where it's at. Staging and
Yeah.
painting.
Yeah.
Can't go
I
wrong with
mean,
painting.
a sad story is a neighbor, she lost her husband and was in her 80s, and their house was immaculate. and it was 1.6 million listed through her son-in-law. Unfortunately, I did not get the listing because I was friends with her, and she didn't want to have to deal with it because she was obviously grieving for her husband still. And it was a big property of land, and it sat there for so long. And
So
she didn't
hard.
stage it, and it was her furniture, and she's in her 80s, but
Mhm.
you know, it was beautiful. But most people in that age range, a baby boomer, or even the silent generation, which is before baby
I was gonna
boomers.
say she's on
Yes,
the
because 80 and
I
up
want to say 60s is our
don't look for an 11-acre property that's worth 1.6 million at that
no.
age range. I mean, overall, just based on numbers, they're not going to be looking for a house like that. So it's a younger generation that'll be looking, and they're going to see that furniture and know that it's for an elderly person. And I was just like, oh God, I wish I had this listing. And then someone else got it from uh, Roseville
Okay.
that was
So
not a
turned
country
over.
person. And it still, you know, was on, we're talking 6 months here.
It's so
It's
hard to
on a
watch
nine
that.
months. And it, yeah, it was just really sad. It wasn't priced right, and it wasn't staged, and it just was sad.
They didn't have the right team or representation, and
Yeah,
we see that a lot here locally, and it's really hard to watch because usually when you look at the listing, it's pretty easy for me to tell that something's not quite right, and it's usually the presentation. Now for you, you can easily analyze it and say, "Oh, that pricing's not right either." Um, and when both are not right, you're doomed. So it's so important that you do hire someone that is a local expert, that knows the community, that knows the demographic that you're targeting. Like you said, you know, a property like that is most likely going to someone in their 40s, if not,
it
but
did.
yeah,
They're in their
someone
early
that's
40s.
established, old enough to be moving up, but also not someone so old that they're at the point that they're downsizing. So they're moving up to the aspirational $1.6 million large 10-acre property or 5 or 10 acre property.
Yeah, it was 11,
That's
and they
someone's
have,
dream
and it's
home.
multi-generation because they have their family
That's a dream
with
home for
them.
someone, but usually that 40-year-old is not going to like the same things as the 80-year-old. And so keeping that in mind, and sellers usually are very receptive to that fact. Most of my client base is in their 60s. Most of the people we are working with who are selling are downsizing, whether they're moving out of state or staying local. A lot of them are moving down the hill to Lincoln or Sun City or one of the new Turkey Creek. There's all these
55 plus.
fabulous 55 and over communities, and I get it. Low maintenance living, lots of recreation. They're wonderful. The amenities are fabulous,
Social.
social, and they're
Yeah.
tired of taking care of the larger family home and property. They're done with that stage in life. So it makes a lot of sense. But the person who's coming along, maybe from the Bay Area, maybe from elsewhere, maybe just from Roseville, wanting to move up the hill and have the chicken coop and get a mini donkey, right? So many of us have that dream. And they're looking at these houses and they're just disappointed because the price is high and it doesn't look great. It looks like grandma's house.
Right.
And most of us love our grandmas. We love to go visit, but we don't want to move into grandma's house.
No.
That's way more than we want to take on. And that's really where you need a team to help you with that property into shape and create the marketable product.
Yeah. You know what? I feel like we need to do a part one and a part two interview because there's a lot to learn from you.
There's
A
a lot.
lot.
There's a lot on this topic. It
I
really
know.
is.
And I think I told you, I go, oh, it'll be a half an hour with the tour. And I'm like, oh no, this is so interesting.
Well,
And
I'm glad you're interested, and it makes sense you are because you're a realtor. So, you know, you're coming up against these scenarios all the time where you're
every
easily
day.
able to identify the problem. You're saying, ooh, I know what's not working over there, or I'm out showing buyers houses and this is the house for them. It's in the location they wanted. It's the size they wanted. It's the house for them, but they don't see it because they can't see past the aesthetics, whether they're just cosmetics, whether it's some wallpaper or some antique furniture. People are not visual. Most people are not, and they have a very hard time seeing past grandma's
Mhm.
antiques, even if it is their dream home. It's
You
their
have to
dream home
have
in disguise.
Right. And then, some people are audio, some people are visual, some more just they're analytical. And I feel like you have to be able to see beyond a home that's not staged. You have to have an arty background,
Yeah,
very,
the visual ability. It's like under 10%. So when you
yeah,
get that 10%, you're like, oh, they see it. Perfect. This is the house. But the rest of the people are just, whoa, we're we're not connecting with the property the way
hmm
that you had hoped. And that's got to be so hard, especially when you can envision the potential for them. If they could
right,
just get past that wallpaper and those
right.
antiques,
I have
right?
some of that wallpaper still, and it's like, oh,
Oh,
please go away.
well,
It's on my
wallpaper's
list. It's
it's
just really
coming
far
back
down.
in. It
I
is.
heard that. I
But it's
know.
not coming back in with geese
Well, I already
and
saw them all
pastel
home with
flowers.
bananas, and
Oh,
I took a picture of
tropical.
it. Yeah, it's all filled with yellow, big, like this size bananas all over the wallpaper.
Wow,
And
that's a statement.
I took a picture and I said, "That's bananas." That's
Yeah, yeah. That's not the look we're going for when we're selling. But hey, if you love it, definitely do it in your
I
next
had a
home.
blast looking at all these designs. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was like, no, I could not sleep in this bed.
Well,
So what do you think? Should we go on the tour?
absolutely. I'd
Do
love
you
to
have more
show
to
you
tell me?
around.
Do we get everything on here? Just about?
Just we talked a little bit about reducing days on market.
Yeah.
Um, Also the increased price that stage homes sell for. So even now, and
Yes.
the numbers are constantly changing as things ebb and flow. So we keep track of all of our homes. We follow them on realtor.com and we, look at what they're closing at, what they're listing at, days on market, and we keep stats. And our stats are always far better than the local averages. We mostly monitor Placer County because that's where we're based. But we have a strong real estate market here in Placer County. We really do, of people buying and selling. But I can say with confidence that if you invest in staging, that you are going to make a return on that. Usually the return is a minimum of 3 times what you've invested, if not much greater, depending on market conditions. I mean, we see up to 300 times return. We have a home currently staged in Rockland, and it is in a subdivision in Rockland, kind of just a very typical single family home, multiple offer scenario. They did excellent prep work. It's an occupied listing. They painted, they staged, they decluttered, they depersonalized. They were A-plus clients, and 50,000 over, and it's pending, and they had multiple offers, and that was in under 4 days.
That's
And
fantastic.
that's in today's market right now. So when I hear people say that it's a tough market, it can be a tough market, but there are tools and tricks. And having the right partners that can help support your business, your clients, and your clients' goals is really, I think, the key to success.
100%. Well
Yeah.
said. So tell me how we reach you.
If you are on social media, we are on Instagram at Heather's Houses Home Staging. I believe there's an underscore between each word. It's pretty long, I know. But I like to have my name in my business so that it's memorable. Heather's Houses, we're the home stagers. So we're also on Facebook, Heather's Houses Home Staging there. You can find us there. And then online at heathershouses.com. We have a local phone number. You can call our office anytime or text to our office if you have pictures or questions about a listing or a property. And that's at 530-887-9709. So reach out anytime. We're here for you.
Okay. And I have a YouTube channel, Living in Auburn, and I love to talk to locals like Heather here and people that's related to my business as well,
Absolutely.
and all about real estate. And as you know, I am a horse property specialist because I love to talk about septics and wells and irrigation, which is on most of these country properties. But a suburban home is fine too. It's just a little easier for me.
Oh,
But I
yeah.
like the complicated stuff and the
You like that
challenge. I
challenge.
know it's crazy. Propane, is it owned? Is it leased? How much is left?
Oh,
All that
goodness.
fun stuff.
There's a lot to learn when you move to the country.
There
I
is
can
a
attest to
lot.
that.
And the big key is water. So I know all about that and defensible space.
That's huge.
I talk to CAL FIRE all the time and insurance brokers, making sure that I educate you on the California Fair Plan, which is not 100% for Placer County. It just depends on where you live.
Very
You could be
important.
lucky or not lucky. You just never know. And
Yeah.
it could change. It's constantly ebbing and flowing. And I'm happy to help people with defensible space and how to make their home fire, not
Fire what?
fireproof, but fire hardened. Yeah, I wish I could say
Absolutely. It's
fireproof.
huge. It's a huge issue in our county and all around the state.
Yeah,
So
and I'm still
something to be
here.
educated
I'm not
on.
afraid of fire. I have 5 equines that I have to evacuate and 2 very large 150-pound dogs and a husband.
Hopefully they
So
help.
that's a lot to evacuate, and I'm still here. So if you just have a small family of humans, I think you'll be fine. Get you
Absolutely.
out.
It's worth the
But
risk.
yeah, totally.
The
Totally worth
quality
the
of life is
risk.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd love to get a little tour
Let's
of
do it.
your tiny
Absolutely.
warehouse. Just kidding, it's huge. And let's see what you got.
Sure.
Okay. I'll just hold this on here. Gosh, we did talk a while, Heather.
Easy
So
to do.
let me just show the little
Office.
portrait. I got to show that and that.
We love our horse art.
Yeah.
Yep. We love our equestrians.
As you should.
Here we are in our very chilly warehouse. It is raining today. You can hear a little bit of the rain on our skylights. We're so thankful for these skylights. They bring us a lot of natural light year round. This is our forest here. It's quite full, but as you can see, we have a wide variety of artificial trees ranging in types, and we know all of our types. So we're only going to put the appropriate type in your listing.
Nice.
And
I love this one because I have 2 real ones and they're easy to grow.
oh yes, and I hear if you can keep things alive, you can get a great deal on one of those at Costco. I can't keep things alive.
Oh no.
So we use all artificial, and this is something that's a little bit fun. As a
Yeah.
stager, you are also very handy. So this is our tool cabinet, tools and supplies. These are all things that we need to keep as part of our daily work and installing in properties and uninstalling. We're hanging lots of artwork. We're hanging curtains. We all have our toolboxes. Lampshades galore. And then these are the furniture racks I mentioned earlier that we access using a forklift.
How many levels is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I believe it's considered 3 stories high.
Wow.
I want to say it's about 37 feet to the ceiling, but don't quote me on that. Somewhere in that range, at least 35 feet. And then here, you'll see we've got bed frames, lots of chairs, a few things in our aisleway that need to be put away so that we can run our forklift. But we're getting ready to load up a truck here today. So you'll notice we've got lots of plastic bags, and those are soft goods. Our bookshelf that goes all the way up, and it's probably about a third full today. We use lots of books, lots of magazines. We love architectural digests and cookbooks, coffee table books. This is our art room. Art we touched on earlier, and stage appropriate art. So I'll show you, this is a very stage appropriate type piece. The scale is very large. It's of a landscape variety. And these will be hung in a property tomorrow in Applegate, which is a rural property in the trees.
Beautiful.
And so we're going to bring nature from the outside in and using some landscape art in that property. We have lots of fake TVs, which we hang because most people need to know where their TV is going to go when they get their new house, right?
That's right.
Common
they always
question.
ask that.
Yeah, where do we put the TV? And for that reason, we have TVs. Mattresses or box springs that we discussed earlier. They're much lighter. They're wrapped with some batting so that they look nice and plush, because everyone wants a big, plush, beautiful bed. Lamps. Our staging team working here. And back here is where most of the magic happens. We have our little space heaters. Our toolboxes, which we try to keep restocked as much as possible.
Very organized.
And our packing table surfaces, towels, we've got curtains, we have everything kind of organized by type and size, lots of runners, throw blankets, and a wide variety of vases and tabletop props, as well as decorative balls and just about any other type of decor item that you can imagine. Um, some of the shelves are looking a little low. We have more than 20 homes out currently
Do
staged.
you?
So you can see that it would fill up when we bring those back. So yeah, that is where most of the work and the planning happens, which is the success is really all in the planning, just like most things in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
All in the details and all in the planning.
Just before I start riding my horse, he's only 3 going on 4, and we're getting him all prepared to have a human sit on his back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's
Is
similar
that
in that case too.
so you're breaking him? Is that the correct phrase?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Really.
What do you call it? That process of being saddle ready.
There is a term, and I can't even think of it right now. It's
Gosh,
just,
I'm dating myself. I remember.
I know we don't break them anymore. Really, it's to me, it's just a slow. I like them really young because I know that there's no abuse in their life, and I have
Okay.
control of how they interact with humans. And I should go ahead and stop this. Let's just we're gonna get another topic. Thanks for the tour. I really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah.